Well, the Rockies are about a week into their offseason, and we asked the question today, is there a world in which the Rockies actually sign a true free agent this offseason? Not just some toss-away free agent either, an actual big-name offseason free agent. Could that happen for the Rockies? We answer that question when we come back. Well, it's October baseball, live from the Toyota Lounge. We are the DNVR Rockies podcast, brought to you by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code DNVR365. Place a bet for $5. Get $150 back in bonus bets. We are live right now from the Big Boy Studio, the Toyota Lounge, hanging out, getting to watch some beautiful baseball over the last couple days. It has been a whirlwind of emotion, Scott. Yes, it's been a roller coaster for me and my childhood Rockies fandom. I've had some ups, I've had some downs. It's been a long couple days, but the Mariners are 1-1, so we're feeling good about that. We'll talk about the postseason as we continue on. We've got some free agent Rockies conversations we want to have. And I've got a new name to throw into the possible front office candidate list for the Colorado Rockies. We'll talk about all of that coming up next. So it's been good to watch some good baseball recently.
Dude, the playoffs are so much fun, and we talked about it last show, but just all these low, I remember I said last pod, I think, or 2 pods ago, take all the unders, and then the overs just started hitting like crazy.
Yeah,
and
of course.
The Brewers, you just don't know what, especially with this current format, what you're going to get from some of these teams. The Brewers were sitting for a week, the Mariners were sitting for a week, the Blue Jays sitting for a week, and in reality, I mean, all like the Mariners, 1-1, not crazy offensive production other than just from some random guys. But when you look at like the Blue Jays who sat and the Brewers who sat, and what is the one other team who sat? I'm blanking on
the Cubs. No, the Cubs were playing.
Cubs were playing. So it was Mariners, Blue Jays,
Brewers,
and
I'm
who
totally
are the Dodgers playing?
I'm totally spacing on who they were playing. The Phillies.
The Phillies. That's who it is. Okay,
God.
Jesus, we're struggling.
What do we even watch baseball?
Yeah,
what are we doing here?
Are we paying attention here? So the Blue Jays didn't miss a beat, and neither did the Brewers. And the Brewers are playing it. Now you get some more division matchups, which is awesome. You got Cubs and Brewers going against each other, and it's just like every game is just like so random because you have such a long season, 162 games. You just feel like it's so repetitive and so, when you watch, especially the Rockies, you kind of know what you're going to get every time. And these playoff games, you expect it to be low scoring because of all the pitchers and everybody being dialed in. And then you all of a sudden have these teams that are up 9-1, 8-1. The Blue Jays are 5-0, and then they hit a grand slam. Like it's been a lot of fun baseball. And I honestly, in just 2 days from when we talked on Friday and kind of predicted did our re-brackets or whatever, I think I'm completely wrong again.
Same.
I think the Yankees are toast. The Blue Jays just look that good, and I didn't trust their pitching staff, and it didn't seem to matter much because they absolutely blew out the Yankees 2 straight games.
No, man, it's been electric baseball. We've got good pitching on one side of the series. We've got good offense on the other side of the series. It's been good. We'll talk more about the playoffs as the show goes on, but I want to talk a little Rockies stuff to start the show because this is, in fact, a Colorado Rockies podcast. I know we're really focused on the front office stuff, and I want to preface this conversation by saying I understand that all of this is based on who is running the front office, because we can't really say whether or not someone's going to make a decision in free agency if we don't even know who's going to be the ones making those decisions. So I recognize that we might be jumping the gun just a little bit, but I want to kind of get a general head start on this whole free agent conversation, because theoretically, once the Rockies go out and announce who their next president of baseball operations or next GM is going to be, the next step, aside from naming the new manager, is building your roster, building the team for 2026. Now, none of us are expecting this Rockies team to be a playoff team in the next couple years. So you've got to start, maybe small and kind of work your way up to that, but you have to start somewhere. So I wanted to kind of get a head start looking at some of these free agents, these possible free agents that the Rockies could take a look at in the offseason, and kind of ask the question before we get any deeper into this. Do you think there's a world in which the Rockies shock the world and go and invest in some big free agent? Or do you think they go the kind of cheaper route until they get a more of a foundation?
I think it kind of all depends on who they hire as a president of baseball operations and what, we're never going to know the answer to this question because this isn't stuff that goes public with teams, but sure. It'll be really interesting to see if we can get an idea of what the leash is and what the plan is for this new president of baseball operations. Because now I'm not saying that you can turn the Rockies into a 90-win potential playoff team in a year, maybe even 2 years, for God's sakes, from a 43-win team by adding some free agents. But it's not out of the question. Like if they went and added Pete Alonso and like 3 high-level starters, like yes, you were taking Coors Field into account. Like I know how crazy this sounds, but theoretically, if a president of baseball operations and or new GM had the money and they were like had a longer leash and had the money, and Dick Monfort and Walker Monfort say, hey, I kind of want next year to be a year where we're considering competing, then you can go out and sign 3 or 4 guys and
if you're willing to invest in it, sure.
Yeah, and theoretically try to compete. Just pull the Mets model out of the drawer and use that. But if the Rockies just decide to kind of stick to the status quo of their team, I don't see them signing anybody outrageous, but there definitely are some guys out there. I was looking through the free agent list this morning that I feel like make sense, and it is worth it to invest in those guys because, yes, we're all still hurt from the Chris Bryant situation very badly. And
will
so
be
badly,
for years.
Yeah. And so badly that we don't even think about him. It's not like he's been playing and just bad. It's like he's been bad when he's played and also missed 75% of the possible games since they signed him. So everybody has PTSD from that, but that's not going to be every free agent signing forever. Some of them work out, some of them don't, and that goes for every team, not just the Rockies. But there's definitely some guys out there where, and I've said this from the start, and I've said this from ever since I started talking about the Rockies 5-6 years ago at DNVR and just being on pods. Like, yes, you have to have young guys be really good to make a good team, and the Rockies have nothing but young guys right now. They have a young core that they hope is good, but even a young core needs some vets and needs some legit players on the roster in order to build even into becoming not a World Series contender, but to becoming a playoff contender. Yeah. And I stick by that. And Chris Bryant was supposed to be that guy. He's obviously not. But that doesn't mean you just quit signing vets that have an idea of what Major League Baseball is like when you have a clubhouse full of 24 and 25-year-olds that are kind of figuring out what the world is like in the MLB at the MLB level.
Yeah, in a perfect world, I think there's a balance, right? I don't think there's any reality, no matter who the GM or president of baseball operations for the Rockies ends up being. I don't think there's a world in which we see another Chris Bryant-like deal, or really a deal probably over $100 million. I mean, there's just, especially with the lockout potentially around the corner. I had said on shows prior that I think the Rockies still need to be aggressive and not let the lockout or a potential lockout change their approach to the front office. I do think that can change your approach to free agency, because if you're going to commit $100 million to a certain player, knowing that there's a good chance they might miss a year because of a lockout, that's a risky investment, right? So I don't think there's a world in which the Rockies need to commit any large sum of money to free agents. But on the flip side of that, the Rockies have been saving some money over the last couple of years. You got rid of Charlie Blackmon, his contract through retirement. You got rid of Ryan McMahon. You're getting rid of German Marquez most likely. I mean, there's some big contracts that you are no longer needing to pay in the offseason. Thairo Estrada is a, $12 million deal or something like that. He's going to be gone next year most likely. So I think the Rockies will have a chunk of money to work with. And I think there is a world in which you can sign a middle of the run free agent to supplement that. Not an Orlando Arcia, or even probably not even a different Thairo Estrada, but a guy who's actually going to be pretty good, or should be pretty good, but is also not going to break the bank. I think there is a world in which the Rockies can find someone kind of in the middle that makes them a little bit better, but also you're not going out and you're not probably signing your Pete Alonso, who's going to take upwards of 100 and something, almost $200 million, most likely. So I think depending on how aggressive this next front office organizer wants to be, we might see something in the middle. And I think you should see something in the middle. So then that brings up the second question is, what position are we looking at in this offseason? Because every year the Rockies do sign a free agent or two. Again, Thairo Estrada was this last year's free agent. It's just a matter of where and how big. So we've kind of agreed that the how big version is somewhere in the middle. So now the next question is where? What position do you approach?
So my first two, my two priorities in free agency, if the because like you said, the Rockies are going to sign somebody. And the outfield is clogged. We're hoping that they, use some Drano, no free ads, but unclog the outfield. Maybe a trade. Maybe they get rid of some guys. You never know what they're going to do. But first base is the position I look at, and then you need at least a starting pitcher, maybe two.
At least.
And
yes.
Luke in the comments here is kind of just taking, the Pete Alonso is the like, oh my God signing. But Luis Arraez, who's also, just listen to this first base list of guys that are free agents heading into this offseason. You have Pete Alonso, Luis Arraez, Josh Bell, Wilmer Flores, Ty France, Paul Goldschmidt, Rhys Hoskins, Josh Naylor, Ryan O'Hearn, Salvador Perez, Carlos Santana, Donovan Solano, Rowdy Tellez, and then Lamont Wade Jr., Justin Turner's 41, Dominic Smith's...
Connor Joe's on that list, too.
Oh, Connor Joe. Little Connor Joe as well.
Little Connor Joe action.
But, that is a great list of players. And the first base, yes, we all want Charlie Condon to play first base for the Rockies at some point? Of course we do. But realistically, that's one of their cards that they're going to have to hold. We talked about this throughout the entire year, and it was great. Because it kind of got us through this 43-win season. Is they played the Karros card, they played the Ritter card, they played the now I'm trying to think of all
Dollander card,
the Dollander card,
the Veen card,
Yeah, they've played all of their cards of calling guys up that we got excited for, and the Warring Bernabel card even was exciting for a while. So they have played a lot of these cards, and I'm not saying that Charlie Condon can't. I believe Charlie Condon should be able to earn his spot in spring training, even on the big league club, as crazy as that jump may be. But I think they should go into 2026 with a veteran first baseman. One of these, the 10 guys I just named, I'd be happy with just about any of them. And you go into that year and you say, hey, we know Condon's still at least a year away, but you don't sign this guy to too long of a deal where you plan on him playing first base for you, like Naylor being 29. Naylor's probably, his stock's kind of fallen since he got traded to the Mariners, I think, a little bit. But he's a guy that at 29 years old, you probably sign for a 3 or 4 year deal, right? But the guys it's crazy as it sounds, like Paul Goldschmidt, Ryan O'Hearn, guys like that, maybe a 1 year deal where they come to Coors and have a Michael Kadire or a Justin Morneau season, totally. And you're like, holy shit. And then either you can trade him for value if you know Condon's about to be ready, or you just let him play the whole year, and then maybe you extend him, and Condon's not if he's not ready. So yeah. I think a 1 year deal for any of the guys I just listed, I'd be all in on, just as a guy that we don't have all these. We have a lot of question marks, and we've talked about the question marks, but I don't think you're getting an answer as to who your next first baseman is in 2026. So fill that hole, get a thumper, get a guy that can hit some home runs at Coors Field, and make the offense a little more fun. And then on the same tangent, the pitching, they need, if Marquez is gone, which we think is highly likely, and they already said Antonio Senzatella will be pitching out of the bullpen.
Because he has to be.
Literally, your only starters right now that you can kind of pencil in are probably Kyle Freeland, Tanner Gordon, and that's...
McCade Brown.
McCade Brown, probably.
Chase Dollander, probably.
And Dollander, most likely, as well. And then, you have that fifth spot of Blaylock or potentially... Ryan Feltner, but you have some spots of guys that you need at least one starter. You need your Cal Quantrill from 2 years ago. I hope they go kind of a level up. But looking at the free agent pitchers as well, the starting pitchers, the list is insanely long.
And you got choices.
Guys in their early 30. The Dylan Ceases, you probably won't get guys like that. But Zach Eflin, Eric Fetty, there's Chris Flexen, Zach
Justin
Gallen,
Verlander.
Justin Verlander, you can bring him in.
Talk about a veteran.
Gomber is a free agent. So is Tyler Anderson.
Yeah.
A lot of these like former Rockies that you see.
Tommy Kahnle.
Steven Matz.
Although
Dustin
that's a
May's
bullpen.
only 28 years old. So, there's a few guys that you can take a shot with, but they have to sign at least one starter and maybe two, because I'm like the Rockies need competition at every spot right now. They need everybody to be competing for their spot. There's very few spots that are in pen, and I think the only spot that's in pen really, maybe two spots, are Hunter Goodman playing catcher next year and Ezekiel Tovar starting at shortstop. And those are the only two I'd write in pen. And everybody else can kind of fight for their spot. And the pitchers are the same way. Like if they just roll out there next year with the five guys we just listed and don't bring in any competition for that and just say, oh yeah, Bradley, I know it's your boy, but Bradley Blaylock, you're the fifth starter,
waiting.
and you just kind of hand it to him after, let's just be honest, every pitcher was pretty terrible this year, except for Tanner Gordon through most of the final part of the year and Kyle Freeland battling. Everybody else should be competing for a spot and not just be handed a starting spot.
Oh, 100%. I agree with you. It should be short-term deals, 1, maybe 2 years, depending on who you're buying, and it should just be focused on veteran presence. That's really my goal. Pitching is everything. To answer Felix's question in the chat, when does free agency start? 5 days after the World Series is over. So it's a conversation we'll continue to have as the offseason rolls on and we figure out more stability in the front office. But we wanted to get the ball rolling on this to start things off. But we got to take our first break of the show. After the break, there's a new name in the Rockies front office candidate mix. We'll go into who that could possibly be coming up after this. Well, I want to give some love to our friends right now over at Coors Light because, one of the most frustrating parts of where we are right now as Rockies fans, as sad, frustrated, a little thrown off Rockies fans, is that we don't get to watch baseball in person. I don't get to go enjoy a Coors Light on the rooftop at Coors Field anymore, and that's a bummer. But the good thing is, Coors Light is not exclusive to just Coors Field. You can go and enjoy a nice, cold, refreshing Coors Light here at the DNVR bar. You can enjoy it at any grocery store that you can find pretty much anywhere in the country. Anywhere you go, you can find and get your hands on a nice, cold, refreshing Coors Light. And the good thing is Coors Light goes well in a lot of different places, whether you're, like I said, watching the Avs start up their season here, at the DNVR bar, whether you're, out at Empower Stadium. Maybe you're going on the road to watch the Broncos and go watch the live Broncos show in London on Friday. I'm sure they have some Coors Lights out there as well. Coors Light, there's no bad place to enjoy a Coors Light. So make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door by using Instant Cart. Go to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Please celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company in Golden, Colorado.
We had Coors Lights together at a pumpkin festival, basically.
We
on
did.
Friday night.
We did.
They're good for any time of the day. Any sort of, especially when you're dragging a kid around. Christian dragged my kid in the wagon for a little bit, like wagon in one hand, Coors Light in the other. And once you're a parent, you really get you need that Coors Light.
It's the double fisting. Kid in one hand, Coors Light in the other. Love it. Also want to give some love to our friends over at Toyota. Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR, and I have been riding with a Toyota my entire life, my entire driving life, let's just say. Although I did grow up in Toyotas as well. My whole family has had Toyotas, and you can't say enough good things about them. I don't think I'll ever go with a vehicle other than a Toyota because Toyotas never steered me wrong. I've had Toyotas, like I said, since I learned how to drive, and aside from your normal wear and tear, getting your routine maintenance done, oil checks, changing your brakes every once in a while, that kind of stuff, I haven't had any issues. I've had no problems with my Toyotas. My Toyota Highlander that I'm selling right now, 250,000 miles on it. My new Toyota that I just bought, brand new, and it is an absolute beast. My mom has a brand new Toyota Tacoma, or she was brand new when she bought it, and it's still absolutely incredible truck. My sister has a Toyota. I mean, we're a family of Toyotas, and my wife is actually the only one who doesn't have a Toyota, and even she's been driving around my Toyota off and on, and she's like, yeah, I might have to jump on this train as well. So you can't go wrong with Toyotas. There's so many different types, makes and models, different types of styles that can go with any sorts of road conditions. I have the 2024 Toyota RAV4 Adventure Series that can get me up in the mountains where I want to go fishing and hunting and all that kind of stuff, but they've also got hybrids that can take you on road trips. So many different choices with Toyota. So visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson's Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson's Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR. All right, I recently heard a new name get tossed out there about possibilities for what this 2025 front office shakeup could look like. A new possible GM. Have you heard the name Matt Klein?
I have not until I saw a rundown.
Okay, all right, so that's new to you as well. If you guys are listening and have heard of Matt Klein in the chat, drop a comment. But I was seeing this posted from Mark Feinsand, MLB.com's Mark Feinsand. He had labeled Klein, who's actually Milwaukee, the Brewers' assistant GM, basically as being in high demand for teams looking to rebuild their front office, which, spoiler alert, the Rockies are very much one of those teams in the mix of rebuilding their front office this season. Obviously, anytime the Brewers' name comes up, you consider them with the Rockies. The Brewers, the Jays, like any of those smaller market teams or mid to small market teams that have had a lot of success building their roster. The Royals are another example of that. But so anytime you hear the Brewers and you hear someone associated with that, you think good things. Klein has thrived in Milwaukee. He was one of 3 assistant GMs in Milwaukee. He's been with the Brewers since 2007, and he actually served as the director of baseball operations before moving over to the assistant GM. So I don't know a ton about him besides what I just read right there. But again, anytime you hear someone associated with Milwaukee, you just think good things. And I go back to a quote that I will just say I heard from someone very, very close to the Monforts, who basically said they advised Dick Monfort to just get on a plane, go to one of these teams, the Milwaukees, the Blue Jays, one of these smaller market teams, and literally just offer every single person in the front office a 25% raise and get them on a flight back to Colorado. Now, obviously, that's said, tongue in cheek, but Klein seems like he would fit that narrative. He would fit the whole, small market team that's just building from scratch with a small budget, and I'd love to see someone like that in Colorado.
Yeah, there's definitely, when these names start popping up and we start getting closer and closer to the actual hire of a GM or president of baseball operations, whatever it ends up being, I will be more tantalized by the buzzwords, if you will, of Brewers, Mariners, Twins.
Mariners, yep.
Got teams like that have had some decent success and have done it in a market that is very similar to Colorado. Now, Colorado on the baseball field is very different than any place in the entire MLB. Like the altitude, Coors Field, there's definitely some challenges there. But yes, the Yankees are very successful. Yes, the Dodgers are very successful. But I honestly would rather our GM and our director or president of baseball operations be from a team like the Brewers than it be from the Dodgers. And basically, I'm not saying those guys aren't good at their jobs. They're very good at their jobs. But I could be way better at my job, too, if I could just spend hundreds of millions of extra dollars to get the guys that I wanted. Yeah, everybody wants the best players.
Sure.
But how can you lead the National League in record this year and not have that high of a payroll and look to a team like the Brewers that are doing it? And that's a good budgeter.
Yeah.
That's a good budgeter, good talent evaluator. They're good at bringing people
Get creative.
up. Yeah, they're creative. And one thing that we kind of touched on a little bit, but I just want to drive that home today as we're talking about, and we haven't seen many comments today. I think I've more seen them on Twitter, is the Rockies' job is very coveted. Let me just put it that way. The Rockies' job is not, yes, the ownership is tough. Yes, Coors Field is tough, but I'm going to pose this tweet that I sent to you the other day from Jared Diamond. He is a baseball writer for the WSJ Sports, which I think is
Wall Street Journal.
Wall Street Journal. Thank you. I couldn't think of the name. But his tweet states this: I need you all to understand how many very, in all caps, smart people in baseball view running the Rockies as a dream job. It's the ultimate challenge trying to figure out how to build a winner in that environment. Smart executives are tantalized by it. They want to prove they can do it.
It's a challenge.
Now, the idea that if you take the front office out of it, the idea of building a winning baseball team at 20th and Blake is a fun experiment and a fun challenge. The part that makes the challenge really tough is the Rockies ownership, their willingness to spend money on not only players, but development and analytics and all the other things. Like, we could go around and round about that, but the Rockies do want, there's guys out there that want this job. So I've seen it on Twitter more than in our comments or anything that I've like talked to people about. Like, but I have seen the why would anyone want the Rockies job? And
it's fair.
There's a lot of smart people out there that think that because if somebody turns the Rockies into a winner, they're immediately like, if you go to the GM of the Dodgers, you're like, well, you're
Billy Beane. You become Billy
pretty
Beane.
good at your job. But if you go turn the Rockies into a winner, people know how fucking elite you are.
That's what I mean. You become Billy Beane. I mean, we've all seen Moneyball with Brad Pitt. Like, you come to Colorado and you turn the Rockies into a playoff team, let alone a World Series team. They'll make a movie about you. And Brad Pitt will be playing you, right? Like, that's the type of job that's being offered here. Now, obviously, it's easier said than done. Billy Beane was him and I don't know the guy, his assistant, who what's the actor who plays his
Jonah Hill, right?
Jonah Hill, yeah. Like, that was it. They were laughed at for years before it actually worked. So obviously, it's easier said than done. But that is what the Rockies organizationally are trying to sell to some bright baseball mind out there, that, hey, you come to Colorado, it's not going to be easy, but if you can figure out a way to win here, you will go down in history. You're not like, you will become this superstar among front office people. So yeah, I do think there's going to be a lot of people that are interested in the job, and I think there's going to be a lot of qualified people that are interested in the job. I want to switch gears here because I see Luke in the chat says, I have so much faith in Walker because it seems like the Rockies' moves have finally been what experts want to see. We've talked about, I think, the behind-the-scenes, unconfirmed shift that we're starting to see from, I think, Dick Monfort wanting to distance himself a little bit from this team, and Walker being in a position to start to kind of take over Dick Monfort's roles. Now, whatever the future looks like with Walker Monfort at the helm is still yet to be determined, but so far it's been good. We've seen good decisions made from Walker, seemingly so far. But I wanted to bring up an article that I actually just came across. I don't know if you had seen this either, if you guys in the chat have seen this, but 9 News, Mike Kliss, who does a lot of Broncos work, he apparently has a good relationship with Bill Schmidt, and actually had a phone call with Bill Schmidt after Bill Schmidt was fired. Have you seen this?
Yes, I kind of did look through it a little bit.
Yeah, and so there's nothing groundbreaking in this, but you got to kind of hear from Bill Schmidt after the fact, after he was let go from his front office role. And I thought there was a couple interesting things. One of the main things that I took away from that was he did confirm that Walker was involved in that conversation with Dick. Now, I had mentioned earlier that I was really curious. It seemed as though Walker was involved in that because Walker was quoted in the press release, but we were all kind of wondering, like, how much agency does Walker have? You know, he's taking over for Greg Fiesel. Seemingly, Greg Fiesel was the business side of baseball, the money side of the baseball. So Dick Monfort and Bill Schmidt would be the ones making the baseball decisions, and Fiesel would be the one saying, yes, here's how much money we have. Here's how it kind of works out in the budget. It sounds to me like Walker's involved in more of the decision-making stuff. So that was kind of interesting to see. Another part of that was interesting was the decision was made on Monday, which we were all griping about. It was announced on Wednesday, but the decision was actually made Monday, which was good to see. But, Bill Schmidt kind of, I guess, gave some advice towards whoever becomes the future GM of the Colorado Rockies, basically just saying, hey, look, you got to go out and sign quality starting pitching. And he had mentioned, you probably need to do that via trade and also sign via free agent. Again, nothing groundbreaking, but it was interesting to see him kind of bring some of that stuff up.
Well, and what's interesting about that is I'm not going to give Bill Schmidt any leash or feel bad for him or anything like that. Like, he's had a hand in making our lives hell for 162 games, 3 straight seasons in a row. But the kind of interesting thing that when I read those quotes is when you look at the Rockies and how they're built, especially, and how they've performed on the field the past 3 years, it brings you to the question, like, is Bill Schmidt like the R word or something? Does he have any idea what the fuck he's doing?
Yeah.
That's where it brings you. And so when you hear this advice after he's been fired, it kind of takes me to a place where it's like, was he trying to go get those quality starting pitchers and just never was allowed the money to do it?
Yeah.
Was he trying to make those trades and they just never happened? So I'm not, like I said, I'm not giving him a pass at all. And I'm not saying that he should just be like, oh yeah, like I'm saying it's all ownership's fault and not his fault for the team that he built. But it does kind of bring me to the point of like, well, you're giving that advice, but were you actively trying to do that as well and just couldn't?
Yeah, we can't see behind the screen, behind the scenes either, so we don't know what's going on. I mean, he said after the trade deadline, which we actually thought he handled pretty well this year. I mean, he traded Ryan McMahon again 2 years too late, but he did do some things this year that we haven't seen in a while, trades-wise. And the only thing that I think we were kind of griping about was, hey, you know, there was a couple guys, Jimmy Herget being one of them, maybe Victor Vodnik, maybe Seth Halverson. Did you try to get anything out of those guys? And his response to that was, yeah, we tried. Nothing really came about. He didn't give specifics on who he was specifically trying, but he basically said, we tried to get something. It didn't really work out. So we just don't know. We're not in on those phone calls. We're not in on those conversations. So it's hard to say whether or not he just was a bad negotiator, whether or not he wasn't given the resources, or if he was just bad at putting a team together. I don't really know. Obviously, his history with the Rockies, he has some good names that he's signed. You know, I mean, the 2017, 2018 Rockies were largely his doing, so it's not like it's all been bad. But I don't know what the agency he's had to make the decisions that he has or has not made has been over the last few years. And hopefully maybe Walker Montford is able to give whoever comes in next a little bit more freedom. But the other thing is, this is going to be a person who has to work within a budget. And that's not even just a Montfort fault. The Rockies, despite having really good attendance, without their TV deal, without their regional sports network deal anymore, the Rockies are in a tight place financially, not just because they're a bad team. They don't make any money from their TV deal anymore. So there are non-Montfort restrictions on how the Rockies can build a team that I think is going to be tough. So yeah, it's going to be a tough deal for whoever comes in and wants to solve the Rockies equation. It's going to be tough. But we got to take our next break of the show. After the break, let's talk a little playoff baseball. We had some craziness over the weekend that we got to get to. We'll talk about that coming up next. Well, I want to give some love to our friends over at Bet365 because at Bet365, we don't do ordinary. And my God, these playoffs have not been ordinary. Spence, on the last show, we were talking about, use that code DNVR365 when you sign up, get set up with the Bet365 app. But you were talking about the fact that you're just taking the under on everything in the playoffs. And then the Blue Jays said, you know what, let's put up 12 on the Yankees, or more, I think. I think it was 13 on the Yankees. And the Yankees went and put up, 7, 8 runs? Yeah, I don't think that plan really works. So are you pivoting a little bit, or are you still sticking with your unders?
No, I'm definitely pivoting. And like tonight, for instance, I'm definitely taking the over in the Cubs-Brewers game, 7.5.
Okay.
Brewers scored more than that themselves in 3 innings last game. And to be honest, the Cubs are starting Shota Imanaga tonight, who's been pretty good all year, but he got absolutely shelled by the Padres.
Okay.
And so a combination of his lack of playoff dominance and the way the Brewers are hitting the baseball right now, I'm definitely taking over 7.5 in that Brewers-Cubs game tonight.
All right, I love it. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. See why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older. Physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Also want to give some love to our friends over at Game Time because college football is in full swing. And if you are heading out to CU, CSU, maybe even Northern Colorado, or anything in between. Hell, head up to Gunnison for some Western Colorado University Mountaineers, some RMAC action. You got to use that Game Time app, although I don't know if the Mountaineers are on Game Time just yet. But if you're going to some of the bigger games, Game Time has you covered. They've got incredible deals right now so that you can get the best ticket that you could possibly ask for the price that you can afford. They've got awesome stuff if you use that Game Time app. They've got zone deals, favorites, seat views, lowest price guarantee. They've even got Game Time ticket coverage, which means your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. They're not serving you wrong. They are not serving you down a path that you don't want to go down. Game Time is great when it comes to getting the tickets that you want to watch college football in the state of Colorado or wherever you're watching from. So if you are heading out to go watch some college football, take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use code DNVR for $20 off. Tap Ticket Go. Download the Game Time app today. All right, there's a good old saying in baseball that says it was from A League of Their Own with Tom Hanks, incredible movie. That says no crying in baseball. Well, if you're a Seattle Mariners fan, which I would consider myself a Seattle Mariners fan, given that I grew up in Seattle, spent most of my childhood going to games at Safeco Field.
Yeah. Let's drop the picture.
You wanna throw something up?
Yeah, let's do it. This is Christian watching.
Okay, so yeah.
Watching the Seattle Mariners last night.
Dude, that is the athletic stance.
I texted Marissa and I was like, I'm not gonna bother him right now. I need a photo of him watching this game.
I had no idea.
She replies with this. I also have multiple videos of you celebrating the win.
Oh, I was fired up last night.
I was like, after he just destroyed my bracket, I'm gonna put a photo of him on.
Dude, I actually wore my Mariners jersey before during the Mariners loss. I had to take it off because the Mariners lost. So I took it off, was rocking with just some sweats and a nice shirt, and was in the suspense stance, dude.
Yeah, I think her quote was like perched like a bird.
Yeah, dude, I was absolutely ready. That Mariners series has been an absolute nightmare for me. I relate a lot to, I've said this before, I relate a lot to my now adopted team. I moved to Colorado in 2015, been a Rockies fan since then. So I've got to see some highs with the Rockies in the 2017-2018 season, and I've got to obviously see some incredible lows. But I relate a lot to my long-term Mariners fan friends when I think about the Rockies, because the Rockies, obviously a frustrated fan base, even with some of the highs in 2017, 2018, 2007. The Mariners fans, they're diehard fans, and they're so just miserable. They're such sickos. I mean, you've had 24 years of bad baseball. Your highlights have been Felix Hernandez, have been Ichiro. I mean, you've had good players, and you still have not been able to make a postseason. And then you go make a postseason in 2022, and you get blown out. You have an 18-inning game at Safeco Field, at the first home playoff game in 21 years, and you lose 1-0 in 18 innings. I mean, talk about just being down and out. So they showed a video. Yeah, if you want to pull this up, you don't have to put the sound on or anything, but if you want to pull up this video, yeah, they showed a video on the broadcast of this Mariners fan in tears. The game wasn't even over yet. It was just the Mariners took the lead in the 8th inning by 1 run, and this Mariners fan is absolutely in tears. His wife, girlfriend, friend, whatever it is giving him a hug. And it's funny because you watch on Twitter, the fans of like good teams, like Dodger fans, Yankees fans, are shitting on this poor guy. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, we get that. Rockies fans understand that. I'll ask you guys in the chat, if the Rockies win a World Series one day, will you cry? Will you shed a tear if the Rockies one day win a World Series? I know you will.
Oh yeah, I will.
I know you will.
Yeah, it was so great to see your tweet. Because that's exactly how I felt when I saw that. Now, the only thing I will kind of shit on that guy for is when you're a fan of a team that's just let you down for 24 straight years, I would not be crying until the game was actually over.
Like, I said. Yeah,
that was a little bit of an early pull, just getting a lead. And that was, ironically, getting a lead in the 8th inning. We would have cried for the Rockies doing that this year.
Yeah.
But our expectations are on a far different level than the Seattle Mariners.
Dude, we almost cried when the Rockies got win number 42.
Yeah, exactly. Like the cry was a little early, but I will absolutely be sobbing. I sobbed when the Nuggets won their title a couple years ago. I sat there in my seat and was just like confetti falling down. I was crying. Like I couldn't control it. And I normally... I think being a dad has actually made me cry a lot more. Like I cry,
totally. Yeah.
I cry about the most insubstantial things now, like that he does or that I see. But before that, 24-year-old me was like, no, I'll never be crying at any of this stuff. And then I see a Avs Stanley Cup, I see a Nuggets championship, which I never thought I'd see.
Yep.
And then if I see a Rockies one, it's 100%
it's
waterworks.
over, man.
Yeah,
over.
I might never leave that seat. They have to pull me out of that seat.
I thought that was just so funny. I'm like, that's just baseball. That's what it means to be a true sicko. That fan has seen some of the worst baseball, some of the worst years any baseball fan has ever experienced. And we get that as Rockies fans. I also saw, I don't know if you saw this, I actually tweeted this on the Rockies Twitter account. Did you see there's a Yankees fan who went out and posted, I'll read it. I didn't send this to you, Yaya, but I'll pull this up and read this because this is hilarious. This Yankees fan says, quote, not one, in all caps, fan base has it worse. Getting embarrassed every single postseason is as hurtful as it gets. Nothing but pain since 2009. And it's a picture of Aaron Judge. And they're just getting absolutely roasted on Twitter. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, whether I'm taking my Mariners fandom, whether I'm taking the Rockies fandom, what is this guy talking about? You have 27 World Series rings. What the hell are you talking about?
Your GIF/meme game is so on point on Twitter. So shout out to you for that, because that was the greatest response to that. But and this is I think I've kind of posed this question to you on the pod before. Is yes, we had it awful this year, and yeah, being a Rockies fan is not fun right now, and being a Rockies fan that also has to, like you do, make a show about the Rockies twice a week and,
you're with me.
Talk about them and come on here and talk to our sickos. Like it's fun. It's fun having everyone, but the whole idea of it is not all that fun when you're not winning. And
it could be more fun,
but it could be way more fun. But I also truly believe that some of these fan bases have it close to as bad as we do when you have these crazy, crazy high expectations and your team either doesn't win the World Series, which is, I think 4 or 5 teams are probably in that boat of those expectations. Yeah. But even just like we talked about it, I think last week, the New York Mets, you spend all this money and you have the best record in baseball and you completely collapse and you don't even get a playoff game. Like, I almost think that is worse than what we've had to deal with in terms of the crash out and the come down based on where your expectations are at every year.
Yeah, I think it hurts more. You and I don't have expectations. I wouldn't say it's worse, because I get what you're saying. It hurts more. It's that whole question. You're a football guy. What's that question? Who was it? Was it the Bills back in the day that went to like four Super Bowls and lost all 4 of them? Right. That's where I'm going with this. Yeah. So like it's the whole question. Would you want to be a team or a fan base of a team that gets to the World Series 4 years in a row and loses 4 straight times? Like, it's tough because that's miserable, but you're still getting to the World Series. You're still getting exciting sports. So it's hard to really it's hard to compare the two because they're just so different. The Rockies, again, we were emotional, jokingly, we weren't actually crying, but we were like, worked up when the Rockies hit win number 42 this year. Whereas Mets fans are crashing out because their $700 million team didn't even make the postseason, right? It's hard to compare the two things. Yeah, like Dinger's Burner says, it's embarrassing compared to being hurt. Like the Rockies are embarrassing, but anything that happens positively, we're on top of the world, right? Even though we know we're not going anywhere, there's no expectations. Whereas the Mets are fully expecting to be in the playoffs, let alone, hopefully get to a World Series, and you don't make it there. The Braves, same situation. So it's just different.
There is that saying, it's the hope that kills you.
Yeah.
So would you rather have hope or no hope at all?
Okay, so
that's the way I look at it, because as the Rockies fans, I have no hope, so I show out there, I'm relaxed, and I'm just there for a good time.
It's a great point. So like going into April next year, the Rockies not only have probably this relatively same team as we had this year, give or take a couple guys mixed in there, maybe a couple veterans, and you have the hardest schedule in maybe the history of baseball to start your season. The month of April is literally just all postseason teams. I have zero expectations. I expect the Rockies to get 3 wins in the month of April at best. And that makes it a little bit more relaxed. I'm not stressed about the month of April. Like, I want them to do good, but I'm not stressed about it. Whereas for you, as a producer and Broncos fan, like the expectations for the Broncos season coming into 2025 was high. It's playoffs or bust, right? And obviously there's been some frustrated games, but let's say the Broncos only had one win coming into like this London series. You'd be crashing out, right? Like the Broncos fans would be absolutely crashing out.
We did, and I am crashing out until yesterday.
That's what I'm saying.
They were 2-2.
And last year was because right now Colorado sports is in a crazy. If you're a fan of all four teams, you've got the whole gamut. You've got the Rockies, who you expect nothing out of, and they're the worst team they've ever been. You've got the Nuggets, who you expect to win a championship. You've
Best
got
player
the Avs,
in the world,
who
yep.
you probably expect to win a championship.
Same thing.
But then the Broncos, this year the expectations are a little higher, but last year was the perfect place to be for the Broncos because you're like, they might be good, and then they made the playoffs, and they got absolutely dick stomped by the Buffalo Bills, and we were all pretty like sad that the season was over, but we're like, hey, we made the playoffs. Like, that's fun. Like, there is a great spot to be in, and then but it's all based on expectations, and the Broncos last year exceeded our expectations. Every year that the Nuggets and Avs don't win a title in these windows that they're in, they're below our expectations, so it actually hurts. The Rockies, if they win 60 games next year, we might hang another banner. Like it's just where you're at and your expectations.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
They got to win 69 games on the dot.
69, the hunt for 69.
That's how we hang the banner.
Dude, if the Rockies won 69 games, man, we'd be on top of the world right now. That'd be a totally different experience. Expectations changes everything when it comes to sports. So, the expectations, and I also think going back to the Mariners real fast before we hit our last break, the Mariners fans over the last 3 years have been beat down because for the last 3, maybe even 5 years, you've actually seen a good team. The Mariners have had a good team. And the last 3 years, you should have been a playoff team, and you just weren't. You missed the postseason. I think I saw Adam Amin say this. You missed the postseason the last 3 years by one game. How depressing is that feeling to see that you have all the pieces, or at least a chunk of the pieces, and miss the postseason 3 years in a row by one freaking game? Like, that's worse than what we have, and we're pretty down bad as Rockies fans.
Well, yeah, and it's also where the Mariners have been the last couple of years that maybe even makes our crying guy over here feel better, is that the last 4 years they've been in a spot where, kind of like the Broncos are now, they're good enough to where you think they should expect the playoffs, and you have a lot of that preseason spring training hope and excitement, and then they let you down. And the more times you get let down, the one time you don't get let down, it feels 10 times better, which is why, going back to the original point of the start of the segment, the Rockies having what we've dealt with these last 3 years and probably will deal with for at least another maybe 1 to 2 before this team hopefully becomes good, will make it, and Felix has been saying this in the chat almost every show, it will make the World Series or even the playoffs feel a million times better than if they were 72-90 these last 3 years.
Yeah, totally. It puts the bar a lot lower. Got to hit our last break of the show. After the break, who's our World Series favorite? Now that we've seen a little bit of postseason action, I have some good guesses on who we might see in the World Series. And also, is there a postseason player? Not is there. Which postseason player currently playing, if you had unlimited money and they were a free agent, would you want to play on the Colorado Rockies? We'll ask that coming up after the last break. Well, summer is wrapping up, but it is not over yet. And with the waning days of summer, there's still a few more weeks left to get on board with some Volo. Volo is Denver's most popular provider of adult social sports leagues, pickup games, and events. And when the weather's nice, Volo is in full swing. You go out to any park on a weekend here in Colorado, and you'll probably see someone with a beer in their hand, looking like a fool, trying to kick a nice little blown up ball, and it looks like an incredible time. Maybe you'll go drive down Broadway and you'll see the sand pits out there, and you see someone playing volleyball or a group of people playing volleyball. Volo has so many different sports to choose from, and it is truly the best way to go meet new people, to make memories, and just to hang out, have a good time. It's like, we're all athletes, or maybe we just love sports. I don't know, but we all love sports, and it's a great way to kind of combine our love for sports with just hanging out with friends, just getting outside, getting to enjoy, the beautiful weather we have here in Colorado, and the good vibes that Colorado has. So, You could join as a pickup player. You can join a full team. Probably at this point, you probably want to jump into some of those pickup player leagues where, you just kind of jump in on a team that's already set up. Hey, they need someone to sub in. You're the guy or you're the girl, and you help out. You jump in there and you make it count. So it's a great way to meet new people, make friends, and be social. Players can sign up as a free agent, small group, or full team, and all ability levels and backgrounds are welcome to join. Use code DNVR10 for $10 off any Volo Denver league. Well, I also want to give some love to our friends over at Shady Rays because I was just talking about the weather, although it's a little gloomy outside today, which I appreciate. It's not like that very often here in Denver, and you got to have a good pair of sunglasses that can get you everything that you need with the nice weather so that you're not left hanging. Because I got to say, especially with winter around the corner, there's been some times, have you ever walked outside when it's like snow all over the ground, but super sunny? And you like walk outside and it just blinds you. You're like pissed that you didn't bring your sunglasses. Have you ever like felt that?
Yeah. Well, this weekend I was golfing and I took my sunglasses on and off, my Shady Rays, my Green Wolf golf glasses, like 5 times. That's how Colorado is. You either need them on or some, and then the clouds come in. You immediately take them off. Like you have to have good sunglasses in Colorado. Mm-hmm. And I actually put an order in for Shady Rays, my Shady Rays on Saturday, going to the golf course because I forgot my Green Wolves were in my bag, but my car sunglasses are gone. I've lost like 3 pairs. So I ordered a pair of Shady Rays. And what Shady Rays does too, I put my order in, used that code DNVR and got 35% off. They do a mystery pair. So you can add a mystery pair for I think $20. And like I care what my sunglasses look like. That's why I picked out the ones that I got. But then the second pair, I'm like, this is like my car pair or another pair that I just keep. And so I got a mystery pair for 20 beans. So I'm pretty hyped about that. And it's exciting because I don't know what they're going to be. They come in, I'm just like, oh, cool. I got a pair of sunglasses.
It's a nice little surprise. Yeah. Like you said, use that code DNVR for 35% off polarized sunglasses if you head over to shadyrays.com. Again, that's code DNVR for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. All right, postseason baseball. It's good baseball on our television every single night. It's incredible. Unless you're the Yankees, then you look like absolute shit. But everyone else looks pretty good. So I see people dropping their comments in the chat, and I'm putting this out there. Complete off-the-wall question. If you could snap your fingers and have one current postseason player play for the Colorado Rockies next year, who would it be?
My guy's Tariq Skubal right now. I would love to have...
Scoobs is your dude?
Yeah, because especially going into...
After getting the loss last night in Seattle?
Yes, because of how good he was just dominant again. 2 bad pitches. He had a Chase Dolander in Texas-like game where he was just dominant, gave up a home run, and ended up losing the game for him. But you have to have that guy where, baseball obviously has now expanded to the wild card round being best of 3. So it's a little different than that one singular game. But no matter what, that first game is usually so important. And granted, Skubal didn't pitch that first game for the Tigers, but I want a guy that's going to go out there and at worst is giving you 7 innings. He was probably not at his worst last night, but the overall outcome of allowing 2 runs over 7 innings is about as bad as it gets for him. So Tariq Skubal would be my guy where you're like, okay, I know game 1 ideally, and if the series works out correctly, I'm going in there, and our team, this entire 1 through 9 hitters, has to muster ideally 2 runs in 7 or 8 innings, and you're probably winning that baseball game.
Yeah, I'm going pitcher too. Cam Schlittler from the Yankees, dude, looked unhittable with that Yankees game. Now he's young, so Skubal's probably a better longevity pick. And I know we're both going pitchers here, which is always sketchy whenever you bring him to Colorado. But Cam Schlittler truly might have looked like the best pitcher I've seen throw this entire season for the Yankees. And I just don't know. I mean, that splitter here at elevation with a 101-mile-an-hour fastball, that moves. I don't see him being hittable even in Colorado.
And they have a day off today, but Schlittler is, I assume, getting the start tomorrow for the Yankees. Oh, no, it's Rodon tomorrow.
He'll get a start here.
Did he already? Did they already lose a game? Did they lose one of the games with him, or did they not start him yet? He had to have enough time off. That seems crazy. Like you hope, if you're a Yankees fan, you hope that, I mean, Rodon's great. It's not like you're the Rockies here and you're deciding whether it's Tanner Gordon or Kyle Freeland.
So I'll take anyone in the playoffs. Yeah,
Rodon is going to be solid, but I mean, Cam Schlittler has another chance to, hopefully you're not down 3-0, but facing elimination at Yankee Stadium has a chance to cement his postseason legacy already as his first season gets underway.
I also would love to hear Jack Corrigan try to say Cam Schlittler on the radio. That just feels like a nice little tongue twister to keep Jack on his toes.
And Drew Goodman, Spilly, and like Corey Sullivan, whoever's in the booth that night would have a good time.
Oh, Spilly calling a Cam Schlittler start. You know, there's going to be some holy Schlitt jokes being thrown out there at some point on the broadcast. The Schlitless, yeah. No, you could go so many different ways with that. All right, pitcher wise, we got our two. Hitter wise, if there's an offensive player that you, based on this postseason alone, who are you going with?
Based on this postseason alone,
you'd want to have on the Rockies.
I mean, right now, like you jokingly said that he wants to become a Rocky, but Teoscar Hernandez just seems like a playoff killer.
Really?
This guy, I don't love him. I hate him. I hate them.
No, I don't even
Dodger, but bro, I mean, a 3-run home run to win you a game in Philly. Break their backs. He's hit some home runs in the Red Series. Like offensively, right now, I think he's the guy I would take. Now that could change in 3 days, but he's been the most impactful offensive player because even like
he's clutch.
You're looking at your M's, right? They've only played 2 games. But the first game, Rodriguez was the only guy doing anything offensively.
Hey, no. Cal Raleigh had 3 hits, I think, or 2 hits the first game.
Okay, well, he had Rockies hits. He had hits that didn't matter.
Yeah. But he still had hits.
And then last night, Polanco hits 2 dongs, and that's it. That's all that matters.
I would absolutely love to see Cal Raleigh in a Colorado Rockies uniform. Yes, I'm biased. I love the Mariners. I'm hoping the Mariners win the World Series. But seeing Cal Raleigh, not only is he a good catcher, I mean, he's a Platinum Glove winner last year, no offense to Hunter, but to see him hit 60-plus home runs, with half of those at Coors Field or more, oh my God. Yeah, that'll get me fired up. I don't care if the Rockies are terrible, the rest of their guys. Just give me Cal Raleigh. Yes, Scott, Teoscar's effort was absolute garbage.
2
on
cheeks
that,
on the same ass.
On
Yes,
that little cutoff ball in right field on that triple. Actually, that's why I ended up saying Teoscar's trying to become a Rocky, because what are you doing? I mean, he just gave up on it.
Vladdy would be an elite move too from Daniels Burner in the chat. He would hit a lot of home runs at Coors Field.
No, Aaron Judge is obviously great, but Aaron Judge does not show up in the playoffs.
What about Ohtani? You get a pitcher and a hitter out.
But you get a mediocre pitcher. Is what kind of he's been. Since
mediocre pitcher for the Rockies, it's good.
Dude, he gets shelled at Coors Field. Come on, the Rockies put up 5 runs against him.
I'm saying that. I'm saying that very in the moment.
Rockies jersey right now.
Yeah. For sure. Ohtani would change the world if he was in Colorado. He would be the Jokic. I mean, he is Jokic of.
He would have to wear number 15 here in the Rockies.
He would.
Hunter Goodman would give it up. It would just be poetic.
You can, if you're playing this game, yes, Ohtani realistically is the best bet at Coors Field. He brings you, he opens the door up for Japanese recruits. I mean, it goes beyond just Ohtani being a good player.
We wouldn't have empty press boxes anymore.
No, my God.
We would be sitting like this versus just having, I have my row of snacks next to me.
Dude, those last series of the season at Coors Field, I had 3 seats next to me. I was spreading out so much. I had my scorecard here. I had game notes here. I had my food over. I mean, we took up an entire row for just the DNVR
we
press
would
box.
Become little international here with all the Serbian fans and then all the Japanese fans just circulating.
Vlad's would be fun. Vladdy though for me is too streaky. And again, I would love him, but if we're really playing this game and we have our choice, he's too streaky. He wasn't consistent this year. He had some bad months. So yes, he can hit a ball 500 feet, and he would probably hit. Bo Bichette would be fun. He's a name that's come up. The Bichettes, both the Bichettes in Colorado. He'd be fun. I actually see a world in which, he ends up being a Rocky at some point in his life. Maybe he's because his dad obviously loves the Rockies. He was at Coors Field a bunch this year. I could see Bichette end up being a Rocky one day.
Well, he's not in the postseason, but I'd take Bobby Witt Jr. in a heartbeat.
That'd be fun.
He'd be in my top 5 of play. If you could just poach any player from any team, if the Royals are smart, he'll never leave there, but he would do some serious damage. Just not only like homer wise, he's not that big, that insane of a power hitter, but the amount of singles and doubles he would hit at Coors Field would be ungodly.
Yeah. He's a very Doyle-esque, like just a better step up from Doyle or Tovar to me. Just real quick, I want to continue this conversation just real fast, but we got to head into overtime. So if you're watching on our television networks, head over to thednvr.com to continue the conversation. If you are watching on YouTube, stay right where you are. We'll keep up this conversation right here. Jackson Churio's good.
He was actually one of the guys that when we talked about players in the postseason, Jackson Churio's a fun player.
He is.
He's just got all the tools. Churio would be a fun guy to have. And
Nico Horner would be another good one.
Michael Busch.
Michael Busch
is just hitting lasers. We're talking about how like these postseason teams, and can you imagine these come downs and these crash outs? Can you imagine being a Cubs fan? You win a big series against the Padres. You're going to play a division rival. You're playing the Brewers. Busch homers in the first inning. You think it's going to be the greatest thing of all time. You're going to win this game, and then they score 8 runs on your head in 3 innings.
In the next inning.
Yeah, you're just immediately.
Your starting pitcher gets bounced in the first. Yeah,
immediate full crash out.
I want to ask a follow-up to this question real quick. So we talked about players. Which postseason player would you want on the Rockies? Which postseason manager, if you had your choice, currently managing in the postseason, or at least managed at any point in this postseason, which manager would you want? I'll give you mine. Think about it for a second. Terry Francona. I know he's eliminated already. Terry Francona in Colorado, not only does he seem like the funnest guy to talk to, our pregame pressers would be elite, but he's a great manager. Players love playing for him. He manages the game really well. He brought the Guardians back to relevancy. Terry Francona is my pick.
I sent my buddies a video, and it was like absolutely no one, and then it's a video of when the camera pans to Terry Francona, and it was one of those like donkeys that was just chewing on gum, and it looked exactly like Terry Francona. I'm trying to think of who I would take. I mean, Aaron Boone's kind of a mess. Right. Craig Counsell's also kind of a mess. It's funny because
AJ Hinch is a good one.
All these teams in the playoffs, like they all believe that their rosters are good enough to win the World Series, which if you make the playoffs, you probably think you're at that point, and they're all crashing out over their managers' decisions. It's so fun to see.
Yeah.
There's crash outs at every level. There's crash outs with World Series contenders. There's crash outs with a 43-win team.
But there are managers that like get credit for impacting a game in a positive way. Like, AJ Hinch, schemes his way into wins, right? And Terry Francona, has such a good presence in the clubhouse that you talk about players loving to play for him. Not Aaron Boone. Yes, agreed. There's a couple like pro managers though that like get a lot of good love.
Yeah, there used to be a lot more, especially in the National League. There used to be a lot more like gamesmanship in baseball. There's not as much anymore because pitcher has to face 3 guys. There is something that goes into putting in a lineup, obviously, and then who you're bringing out of the bullpen. But like a guy like Rob Thompson, he's the Phillies manager.
Yeah.
Like he's just put together, they just have the easy, like how hard is his job? He puts those 9
Dave Roberts, how hard is your job, bud?
You put those 9 murderers row lineup out there, and then you throw 3 different guys that get Cy Young votes.
You know what? I think I could probably manage the Phillies.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like you have these nasty bullpens, and it's just such a different world that we're watching now in October. It
is. It really is. So we're going to head out here on this show. We'll be back on Friday, hopefully with some more good baseball to talk about, I'm sure. I can't imagine there being bad baseball to talk about on Friday. And I don't expect any news from the Rockies coming out anytime soon. We had said that last week. If news is coming, it's probably going to come after the World Series. Free agency starts 5 days after the World Series anyways, so you've got about a week after playoffs end for the Rockies to make a decision on front office and then get the ball rolling. So appreciate you guys hanging out with us for this one. We will see you guys on Friday. This has been the DNVR Rockies podcast presented by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.